Welcome to the channel. Today we are talking about three things that I think is pretty important, things to know. It's probably a question that has come across your mind once or twice, but mostly we're talking about Jeeps today. More specifically, the 3.6 liter Pentastar engine of the JL. I'm sure it applies to other vehicles as well. And those things are fuel. What type of gasoline do you put in your vehicle? The second thing, how often, how frequent do you change your oil? And thirdly, when you're rotating your tires, do you include the spare tire? Now, before we continue, majority of this, especially when we're talking about rotation of the tires, is going to be based on my opinion. All three of them is going to have some of my opinion involved, but when I'm giving you this information, I'm using the owner's manual or the quick start guide that comes with your vehicle. I'm using the internet, some websites, as well as local forums, JL forums, and Facebook pages on what people are saying and coming up with my own reasons on why I do certain things certain ways. Now, according to Jeep, it says or recommends that you use 87 octane fuel for the JL 3.6 liter. A question that I see coming up a lot on forums and in Facebook pages is, what type of fuels should I use? What type of fuel should I put in my vehicle? Should I put a premium, or should I put the mid-grade, or should I put the regular stuff in there? And from what I've read and from what I've noticed, because I've tried both, is there really is no difference, no real benefit to using a higher octane than what is specified according to your manual, which for us, Jeep, it's 87. People think that buying or using a higher octane helps the engine out, whether it's better performance increase or better gas mileage, or whether it cleans the engine while you're utilizing it. And from what I've read, that is not the case. If you think you have, and if it is, it's going to be very insignificant. Very insignificant. Having a turbo Jeep is completely different. Again, we're talking about the 3.6 liter Pentastar engine. With the additives or with the cleaning of the vehicle with a higher octane, the EPA actually tells Big Gas that they're going to put detergents in their fuel that is going to clean the engine either way. So whether you have 87 or 93 octane, all fuel has that detergent in there, which is going to do a better job of cleaning that carbon buildup that comes from the firing of the engine. Moving on, the better gas mileage or better performance. Again, not saying that that's not the case, because every vehicle is different. Every vehicle is different. But if it is the case, it's so small, so insignificant that it's not worth the upcharge that you're paying for the premium gas. Right now in Newport News, 87 octane is $2 a gallon. And 93 octane, which is the premium stuff, is $2.67 a gallon. That is over a 30% increase that you're paying for very, very small, insignificant amount of increase in whatever it is that you're looking for. So if you were to factor in that, again, the Jeep gas mileage ain't that good, right? If you're to factor in owning the vehicle for 5 years or even just a year, the amount of money that you're just literally throwing away or burning is probably hundreds of dollars. I haven't done the math, but just think about it. 30% more that you're paying, and you fill your gas up once a week, twice a week, however so often, you are literally throwing money away, right? If you were to fill up and it costs you $30 to fill it up, 33% increase in that would be $10. So you're paying $40 with a higher octane over the course of how many times you fill it up a year, if my math is correct. Either way, it's a lot of money that to me just doesn't need to be spent. So take that into consideration. All right, moving on to the frequency of oil changes. Before I get into frequency of oil changes, there's something I want everyone to be aware of, especially if you're just buying a vehicle, because I wasn't aware of it when I was getting ready to do my first oil change, and it is something that I figured the dealership should have told me about, but scrolling the interwebs, scrolling the forums is when I found out about it a day before actually my scheduled oil change. And that is, you have something called the Jeep Wave program, where Jeep gives you 2 free oil changes and 2 free tire rotations. I wasn't aware of that. I was getting ready to pay the dealership to do my first oil change for me and tire rotation. And again, they never told me about that. But after I brought it to their attention, they're like, oh yeah, we do offer that. But that is one thing. Another thing is, when you are going to the dealerships and they're doing your oil change and tire rotations, from what I've seen on one of the forums, and I have the link in the description, is that certain dealerships are putting the wrong type of oil in the engine. And they're also putting too much. They're putting the 5W 20, and they're putting 6 quarts of it. But according to your gas cap right here, the JL uses 0W20, and he uses 5 quarts according to the owner manual and everything I've seen on the internet. And adding too much oil to your system can cause a number of things. A big thing is going to be pressure problems, whether the oil pressure is too high or too low, and that's going to ruin your seals. And it also adds air to your oil, which again can lead to low performance and damaging your engine over a period of time. So you definitely want to check to make sure that the dealerships, when they do it, is putting the right amount and the correct type of oil in your engines. So the way the Jeep is set up, the way these new JLs are, and probably a previous JKs, 15s up to 18s, is that there is no set time on when you should change your oil. From what I read and from what I've seen, is that the vehicle has a automatic oil indicator system where it uses a number of things to determine, okay, you are now at the point where you should change your oil. Some of those things include the temperature outside, whether the climate, whether it's in a hotter climate or a colder climate. Driving conditions, are you towing a trailer frequently? Is the engine under a lot of stress? As well as, is a vehicle idling a lot? Because I guess when your vehicle's idling, is considered something called severe duty. There are, however, a few hard numbers in the quick start guide. And one of those hard numbers is that you should not exceed 1 year or 10,000 miles without doing an oil change. You should not exceed that number. Another hard number was if you are in a location, or if you are using your vehicle with something called severe duty, which is when your vehicle is in a lower RPM, operating at a lower RPM very often, or if you're in a climate or area where there's a lot of dust, or if you are constantly off-roading. If you are in that severe duty category, it recommends that you do an oil change every 4,000 miles or 350 hours of engine operations. So that being said, the Jeep uses synthetic oil, or at least that's what I use, right? So the synthetic oil versus the conventional oil, what is the difference? I'm no scientist, but again, from research and from what I've seen and read online, synthetic oil and conventional oil, the major difference is the refinement process. Synthetic oil is a lot more refined. So that means that more impurities is removed from the oil. And that leads to less deposits being left in the engine, right? So with a synthetic oil, your engine is running cleaner. It's a cleaner system. There's also additives added to synthetic oil through the use of science. And that allows your engine to operate with less friction between the gears, as well as reduce engine wear. So back in the day when mom, dad was working on a vehicle and they said, hey, son, daughter, come help me work on the vehicle. You were so excited because you're about to help your parents fix their car or whatever. But it turns out that you were just a flashlight holder and you were getting yelled at because you were doing that incorrectly. When they were changing their oil, they were probably doing it every 3,000 miles because they were using the conventional stuff. But again, with today's oil, the way it's made, it stands up a lot better to those harsh conditions of the engine. And that's why they can last so much longer. So I see people on forums, on Facebook groups saying they change their oil every 3,000 miles. To me, opinion coming in, that is overkill. Again, that's an opinion. What I do is between 5,000 and 7,500 miles is when I will do an oil change. And that all depends on how I'm driving the car for that period. If I know I was taking long trips back and forth going home to New Jersey, or if I was off-roading a lot or something like that, driving a little crazy for however long, that will determine like, hey, maybe I should change my oil a little bit frequent this time, a little bit more close to that 5,000 mark. If I'm just relaxing, driving to and from work for 6 months or whatnot, it will go to 7,000 and then I'll make that oil change. So yes, the vehicle is equipped with the oil indication system, automatic oil indication system. The way you access that is by going to this, and it shows you the life of your oil, starting at 100% when you first replace your oil, and goes down as you drive your vehicle. I don't follow that. I do not. Again, I go with my driving habits and I determine when I'm going to make that oil change. Something that you can do as a driver, as an owner of your vehicle, to help preserve the life of your vehicle is just simply checking on the vehicle. Don't just go to the dealership, have somebody, a random person, but don't have that person change your oil and say, you know what, my oil is changed, I'm good, and I'm just gonna keep driving this vehicle until the light comes back on. That is not a good practice. It is recommended that you do check your oil frequently. If you know you're going on a long trip, check your oil. If you haven't driven for a while, check your oil. If you do drive a lot, check your oil. Every engine is different. Your vehicle might consume more oil than the person that bought the same exact vehicle the same day you did. Extra precautions, I don't do it, but that's probably something I will look into later on, is taking oil samples and sending them off to see if there's any type of chips or any type of impurities that is in your oil. And that will help over a longer period of time, to me, rather than replacing your oil every 3,000 miles. Those are some things that you can do as the operator of your vehicle to make sure that your engine is operating correctly and you're taking good care of it. Okay, so I did a horrible job at trying to keep that video short. I'm gonna cut it short right here. I'm gonna stop it at these two things. The next video, which is being uploaded probably as you're watching this, is gonna talk about the fifth tire rotation and a few extra things at the end. Try to keep it under 10 minutes. I got over that a little bit, but just go ahead, check that video out.